Good morning. Welcome back. This is day 66 on our series, but the market is moving, and I want to show you sort of what I'm looking at, what I'm paying attention to. Let me just apologize in advance for the audio. I am traveling, so I'm only using my laptop audio right now. I didn't expect to make this video, but I happened to wake up over here in Europe, and I saw that the market's down about 5%. Ethereum's down about 5%, 5.6% right now. So I checked everything, and spoiler alert, everything's okay right now, but there's some positions I'm watching. And just to kind of show you what I would be doing if a position did get threatened. Now, as many of you know, when we're selling options, we like to sell options and we pay attention to the delta. We like to get a low delta. This is exactly why. Also, if you saw my video yesterday, where I was talking about selling options versus selling puts and my thought processes on what I sell, when I sell an option versus when I sell a put. And one of the things I talked about is it's good to try to stay delta neutral. Now, deltas are all out of whack right now because the market has moved drastically and we have positions that are threatened. But the reason you want to try to stay delta neutral in your portfolio is because of market movements like this. They affect your overall portfolio a lot less. And delta neutral just means you have risk on the upside and risk on the downside pretty evenly. So let's take a look at it, what positions are kind of threatened. So here's one, here's one, here's one. They're all very close. This one's going to expire literally in a couple of days. So let's just take a quick look at where it's at right now. Option 6, put 22, strike. It's at a 12 delta. So we've come up a little bit, but it's not too bad. And if as long as this market don't move too much, this is going to drop drastically over the next day or two because of theta decay. Theta decay speeds up the closer you get to the expiration. Keep that in mind. So this one is a 2000 put, expires on the 13th. So let's go here, options, 13th, 2000, 9 delta. We're pretty good. Even though it looks kind of wonky here, we're pretty good. Now, here we go. We got a expiration on a 2000 put, but it doesn't expire to the 20th. 20th put, 2000. 13 delta. We're still pretty good there. The number that we're going to adjust on is 30 delta. Keep that in mind. This is going to be good. Let's go right here. Right here. I think I sold some of these yesterday, I believe, but 27 September 27th is the expiration date. The strike price is 2,000. Let's go take a look at that. 2015 delta. So far we're still pretty good. Now, a couple things. The market's moving. I have gotten some buying power back. I'm not going to touch it because I may need that to help me make up if I have to adjust a trade. So how would we adjust a trade? I've shown this before, but I'll show it again here, or I'll show it hypothetically here. If this position got into trouble, probably we would end up at about $300 or $400 down, just so you know, in the red. And the delta would say it's at like 30 or 29. And it's like, okay, now we need to adjust it. So we'd come here, put, this would say something like 29 or 30. And at that point, we would be losing a lot more money on our position. We'd be losing, like I said, closer to probably $300 or $400, I believe. I'm just guessing. So what you can imagine is taking $300 or $400 away from this margin. And I'm kind of trying to give you an idea. And the truth is our margin requirements would probably go up a little bit, but that's neither here nor there. Let's just say that at the time we go to liquidate, we end up with, I guess $1,500. We'll take whatever we have here, probably another $500, and then we'll have $2,000. And I don't know exactly how much we would have available because I don't know how much that price would be impacted. Depends on when we hit that delta, that 30 delta. But with $2,000, then what we would do is we would come to our options and we would try to go out further. Now the challenge is we're at the 27th, so we'd probably have to go out further than that with $2,000 and see what we could do. Now I always will come in a little bit just to see if there's any options. There usually is not. Like with $2,000, I could never sell enough puts here to really make it back. I'm going to have to come with a little higher delta anyway, but what I'm trying to do is make back up. I'm trying to use my available capital that I would have available after closing out this position. Oh, sorry. After closing out this position early, whatever I have left over from the margin plus whatever buying power, and I'm trying to make up whatever losses I have by going further out in the future and selling more options. It's called rolling an option. Now, I try to actually, when I have to roll, I try to roll on both sides of the market because crypto is so just insane. I want to get on both sides of the market. So in case another position gets threatened again, at least one half of the trade is ideally good, or one half of the roll, sorry. So I would come back and we would say, we're at 27th, let's go out to the 25th of October, so that basically another month out. We have $2,000. With $2,000, we could get 10. Theoretically, we could sell $2,000. We could sell enough options here to make up about $400 if we needed to. And I'm just oversimplifying this. What I would probably do, I don't like being in a 12 delta, but I don't have a lot of options. Even if I try to go out to the November 8th, yeah, I might could sell something here, and that would get me all the way down to, look at that, 1,500 strike. That feels pretty safe. On the call side, let's see here, what could I do? I could get to a 12 delta and get $31. That's going to get me all the way to 3,400. So I would have some options. I might be able to make that money back. Here's the challenge when you roll. The good thing is when you get to roll, it's a way to mitigate losses. Hopefully, that's usually the idea. Sometimes you can't, like, if your positions get threatened and you've already rolled out to like October, November, that's when you're gonna have to cut losses. And typically it's gonna be a couple $100, $300-$400 or something. That's usually when you're gonna have to cut losses. Unless several weeks go by and it gets threatened, usually then you've made enough money back that you can roll and still even roll for a small credit or pretty close to break even. The challenge when you roll, here's the biggest disadvantage, because when people hear this strategy the first time they see it in action, it can feel like, wow, you don't lose very often. And it's true, you really, really don't. In most cases, if you're conservative enough with the initial trade, you don't have to roll too often. And when you do roll, you can do pretty well. And this is why I like to try to be at a 5, 6, 7 delta when I make my initial trade. It's easier to roll and make your money back. Is why I do that. Is why I like to do that. Now, here's the kind of the kicker though. If I had to use that $2,000 to bring back in $400 because I had to roll, that's essentially $2,000 in my portfolio. And I'm oversimplifying because when time passes, they're going to release more of that part of that $2,000 back to your buying power. But just for simplicity's sake, that's about $2,000 in my portfolio. That's not going to be earning me additional profits for the next 30 days. So, or 40 or 60 days. So, when you see that I'm trying to earn 1% per week, that's what's going to mess with that number. That's what's going to mess with that projection. The number of times you have to roll is going to mess with that projection. But it's better to roll and not take on an initial loss right away and potentially come out with a profit, which is exactly what I ended up doing. Those of you that watched me, was it last month? I think it was last month I ended up rolling. And actually, you didn't get to see that. This was before I started the video series. I had to do a big roll for 2 months, and it ended up working out in my favor. I ended up making all my money back. I just didn't make as much profit as I would have made if I did not have to adjust and roll that trade. Hopefully that makes sense to you. Now, here's the kicker for today. I'm going to be traveling in a pretty remote area for about 3 or 4 hours, and I'm not going to be able to watch the market, so I'm just going to hope that it's okay. It's unusual that I am going to be this remote for this extended period of time, but it's okay. And I wouldn't care at all, except I see the market's moving on us. Looks like it's come back a little bit, but we'll just have to keep an eye on it. Again, we don't move 5% every day. Now, this is when I would theoretically, if I had a crystal ball, I would have not made trades yesterday. I would have held it today, so I could have sold puts and got even further into down in the market. But since I only have about $459 in buying power, I have a couple of trades at 15 delta right now, then I'm going to hold on to my buying power. I don't like to open up new trades if I'm getting low on my buying power. If I have several trades that are sitting at like 13, 14, 15 delta that I feel like I'm going to have to adjust. Hopefully this is making sense to you as I kind of share my thought processes, my pattern, my thought, I guess is it thought pattern? My thought processes with you. Hopefully this is making a little bit more sense over time as you're following along in the series. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments. I'll do my very best to answer. Thank you so much for watching. We didn't have to even make any trades today, but I wanted to show you what I'm watching in the market and what I'm monitoring closely. Thank you for watching. This is Crypto Wealth. I'm out.